Welcome to the Erotic Realm podcast, where we explore the psychology of darker desires. I'm Em, and if you're new here, welcome. I'm a psychosexuality nerd with a background in psychology, sociology, medical science, and Tantra. I'm also in a 24/7 collared relationship, and I'm passionate about humanizing kinksters. Join me here for in-depth one-on-one conversations as we explore the fascinating world of eroticism, one erotic realm at a time. If you love what we're doing here in the Erotic Realm, I'd like to ask you a quick favor. Can you follow and rate the show on Spotify? It helps the show reach more people like you. And if you haven't yet, I'd love if you could subscribe to my Substack, Psychology of Desire. This is where I go even deeper into the science of symbolism, of desire, archetypes, and erotic evolution. You'll get access to articles, unique surveys and research, and behind-the-scenes access to everything we're building. Visit psychologyofdesire.substack.com. I'll see you there. And now for today's episode. The following is a conversation with Mo, known online as Darkest Mercy. She's a 22-year-old goth, pansexual dom based in Rhode Island, who describes herself as a demoness, toy collector, and seeker of erotic intensity. We explore everything from blasphemy and the beauty of the macabre to power, play, and the evolution of queer kink identity. This is a conversation about claiming desire as an active force, finding transformation in taboo, and growing into yourself through erotic exploration. It's also the chance to get an insight into the mind of a young explorer in the kink space. Enjoy. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Erotic Realm podcast. Today, I'm very happy to have with me Mo. Welcome, Mo.
Hello, hello.
So, listeners have been requesting to get to know the person a bit more that I'm interviewing. So, they want to know a bit more about your background outside of kink, if you're happy to share, whether that be your general work area or your hobbies or both. What are you up to when you're not being a kinkster?
Yeah, of course. Well, I am mainly a full-time student, double majoring in civil engineering and Japanese. So school is a main aspect of my life. I take a lot of classes, so I'm doing that most of my time. I do like part-time work here and there, internships and whatnot. Very career academic focused. When I'm not doing that, I guess I do like spending time with friends and family here and there. Um, just doing general stuff, going out, dining out, watching movies and whatnot. But school takes up a lot of my time. I am graduating, quote unquote graduating. I'm in a 5-year program, so next year I will be in another country, or this year, starting this year, I'll be in another country to finish my degree. So after that, school won't really be as heavily involved in my life, though I do plan on doing my master's. But as of right now, I'm a student above all else when not thinking about kink or doing kink. So yeah.
Okay, well, that's fascinating. I've never heard of that mix before, civil engineering and Japanese. I love it.
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
an international engineering program, so
Cool. Well,
it's
good luck
part of
with
the
it.
package. Thank you, thank you.
Hmm. So now I'd love to dive into your sexuality. If you had to sum up your sexuality, how would you describe it, Mo?
Yeah, so when it comes to my sexuality, I identify as pansexual, or just queer in general. Queer is more so for my identity. Pansexual referring to, yes, the sexual attraction I have for people, anyone, everyone, for the most part, just depends on the person and their personality, right?
Hmm.
Queerness is how I choose to identify with like how I express myself sexually, as well as just like in general. Um, I do go by she, her pronouns, but sometimes I do things that don't really fit into the binary spectrum, or sometimes my attractions aren't really very binary or queer coded. So, or pan coded, my apologies.
Hmm.
So, queer, if I'm not going by pan, I use queer most of the time, but that's definitely just like my sexuality when it comes to textbook definitions of identities.
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
And what about in terms of your kinky sexuality? How would you label yourself when it comes to your kink?
Yeah, of course. So when it comes to kink or just BDSM or anything within that realm, I do prefer identifying as a dom. Um, just dom. I know there are other labels that can be used, but I prefer just doing dom. It feels all encompassing for me, and I don't feel like I have to subject myself to certain labels that have to have certain things that go with it and whatnot. Not that you have to abide by those stereotypes, but I
Mhm.
feel like Dom is so open-ended that I'm more comfortable using that. But when I'm not doing kink or not doing BDSM or whatever, I just am. So
Mhm.
typically I say identify as Dom or I'm just neutral. I just exist. I do whatever feels right or whatever. So yeah, those two things kind of fit what I like to go by. For funsies, sometimes I may say like I'm a demoness or whatever, but
Mhm.
Dom is usually how I identify plain and simple when it comes to kink, yeah.
Okay, and what does being a dom mean to you? Why dom?
Well, that's something I've been trying to figure out for a while. I always felt like I identified more with that label, more with that role when it came to kink, my sexual expression, or just like anything in general regarding kink or BDSM. Um, there was a point when I just did it because it made sense, like I wasn't a sub. But
Mhm.
now I feel as though the certain aspects that um come with being a dom, um, they align more with my values and how I like to portray myself and how I like to perform or just like exist within the kink community. So what it means to be a dom, I think that you have a lot of responsibility, a lot of control, um, and you're almost like a leader.
Mhm.
And to me, I play those roles throughout like my life in every aspect almost. Like I'm the president of societies or I'm doing all these other things, right? So it just fits well when it comes to being kinky that that would also just be how I am. So yeah, I think being a dom means someone who is a leader, someone who takes charge, someone who's a control, someone who assigns tasks and receives servitude, if anything. But there are different ways to be a dom, but for me, those are like the ways that I like to engage with my doming, if that makes
It
sense.
sure does. Very well said. Now, you mentioned
Hmm.
Demoness, which is a fun label. I'd love to
Hmm.
hear more about that too. When are you a Demoness as opposed to a Dom, or is it part of your Dom side?
See, I don't really feel like I've ever actively used that
Okay. Hmm.
outside of like a more joking context. Um, Sometimes some people may ask me like, "Oh, where am I from?" And I'm like, "I'm from hell," or what do I do? I'm like, I kill, death,
Hmm.
murder, all those stuff. Like I'm a goth. So I'm
Okay.
goth and I'm gothic and a lot of those themes are within the goth subcultures and just like goth in general, goth music and like within the fashion that we have. So it, I just say it for fun. I've never actually implemented that into any of like the kink I've done, which is something I would like to explore at some point or another because I do have like a religious kink and it aligns more with like Christianity and that's kind of where my mind goes whenever I call myself that just for the fun of it. But
Hmm.
it's just for fun. I never really actually done anything with it. But that's something I'm considering at some point or another. We shall see. But right now, it's just something I like throwing out there to throw people off.
Hmm. Fun. So I haven't actually had a goth on the podcast yet. Does being a goth have a particular sexuality that's normally associated with it? Are they really diverse in their sexuality? Does it come along with
Mhm,
being more dominant? What should
mhm.
we know about what a goth normally enjoys in their sexuality?
Oh, well, there is no textbook to tell you exactly what a goth would like or not like.
Hmm.
So, goth is a music-based genre. Sorry, goth is a genre. the culture is music based. And when someone calls himself a goth, it just means they listen to goth music.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that it can be anyone. You can like anything, you can like anyone and do anything and be anyone. But as long as you're listening to goth music, you're goth. I know that a lot of people confuse like the gothic subcultures, like liking dark things or being darkly inclined or wearing the stereotypical goth attire. There are different types of attire too. Not a lot of people recognize that, but there are different subcultures within the goth community. And some people can just like wear the fashion styles and not be goth because, as I said, it's a music-based culture.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you can be anything. I know that I was recently watching a video. I don't want to get into it right now. If you want, I can talk about it another time. So I'll just like end it right here. But no, you don't have to be like when you're goth, you can be anything.
Okay.
You're not a dom, you're not a sub, you're not a top or bottom or whatever. You just are what you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but there are like certain kinks that some people would associate with gothness. Like for example, not a particular kink, but being kinky. That's
Mm-hmm.
very goth coded. As I said, I was watching a video. I guess I'm gonna talk about it now. But
Yeah,
I was
go for
watching
it.
a video a couple of days ago by Cat Black. She's one of my favorite YouTubers. And in the video she was discussing how the kink community and just like BDSM culture and all the stuff like we're heavily involved in the goth scene back in the day because alternative culture kink, BDSM, these are alternative things. Being alternative is kind of like looked down upon or, questioned. There's a lot of stigma around it. So people find a community within the goth or alternative subcultures because being kinky or partaking in BDSM and stuff like that, those are alternative cultures, right?
Mm-hmm.
So goth clubs back in the day sometimes would have spaces for people to practice or people to wear their gear or just like do things, right? So it kind of goes hand in hand, but not every goth person is not going to be a kinky person, right? They're not going to enjoy all the stereotypical things about that or even enjoy it at all to begin with. But today, I would say there's a lot of people within the alternative community, especially goth, who do identify as goth or alternative as well as a kinky person or whatever. But it doesn't mean you will be, as with most things in life, right?
Mm-hmm. Fascinating. Thank you for sharing. So, which one did you discover first, being goth or kinky?
Um, that's actually, I don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
I believe alternative um subcultures without the sexuality or kink attached to it was something I discovered at a young age. I did discover like alternative fashion styles at a young age. I've been alternative since middle school, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in college now, so it stuck with me. It was never a phase. It was just who I was. But as I grew older, I discovered the music. And as I grew older, I also started to learn more about kink. Um, at a young age, I was exposed to explicit things. So I guess I got a head start, but I don't think I learned anything too kinky until a little bit later.
Right.
Or maybe I was exposed to it, but I didn't recognize it as such at the
Mm.
time until later. And then I realized, oh, okay, that's not something everyone is doing, or those aren't things that happen everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't really remember if
Yep.
I'm being honest, but I know that I definitely discovered like fashion and music early on as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like a natural evolution for you. Mm-hmm.
Oh, definitely, 100%. It happened very naturally. Everything just fell into place. I don't even know how, but I'm glad, honestly.
Mm-hmm. You've
Mhm.
also said that you're still growing into the person that you want to be. What are some ways that kink has helped shape or reflect that growth?
Yeah, it's given me an opportunity to explore a non-heteronormative way of being alternative
Mm-hmm.
and trying different things, being creative and exploring. I'm a creative person. I think that kink offers a lot of space for you to try new things and be creative with what you're trying, right? And yeah, just like different ways to do the same type of kink, honestly, and different people to explore with. So when I say that I'm still evolving, I still have a lot to try. I still have a lot of things that I want to discover. A lot of things that I'm not 100% sure if I would align myself with or not. So I kind of got involved in the kink community more personally a couple years ago. So at that point, I was liking and knowing different things than I am today currently. But even today, I still recognize that what I'm doing right now, what I feel right now, I'm not going to feel the same way a couple years from now. But yeah,
Mm.
it's constantly, I wouldn't say that I'm ever going to stop evolving. I have a growth mindset. So
Mm-hmm.
even with, even when it comes to kink, I know that I'm going to continue wanting to learn more and continue learning more to begin with. Like it's just going to happen. That's just a natural way that life works. And I'm very welcoming of it. But right now, I feel like there's not a specific thing I can say. Yeah, this is where I can place my foot down and say, like, this is me as a kinky person. I'm still trying to figure that out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a growth
Yeah.
mindset is a great perspective to have, and it sounds like you have a lot of fun ahead of you. Now, one of the traditions on the podcast is exploring a quote's meaning with you, and today's quote is from Anne Carson, who is a Canadian poet, translator, and classicist, and she's renowned for her work that bridges classical scholarship and contemporary poetry. Her book, Eros the Bittersweet, was written in 1986, and it's an exploration of the concept of Eros in ancient Greek literature, examining how desire is both a source of pleasure and pain, presence and
Mm.
absence. So, in this book, Eros the Bittersweet, Anne writes, desire is a verb. Do you agree with Anne? Do you feel that desire is a verb, an active process that is both negative and positive? And have you noticed that your desire changes according to how much you interact with it?
I agree based on how English works. It is a verb. Desire is ever changing, and there are negative desires and positive desires. You
Mm-hmm.
desire things that can be harmful to you, to
Mm-hmm.
other people,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then there are things that you desire that are beneficial to you or other people. So
Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree with that quote. Um, whether or not I've had desires that are negative or positive, was that the question? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just wondering if you think that desire can be both a negative and positive process, for example, pleasurable and painful. Maybe you see both of those things as good
Okay.
things.
Oh, yes. Oh, okay. Desiring things that may not be considered immediately pleasurable, but
Mm-hmm.
more along the lines of pain, but there is still some pleasure within it.
Sure.
I think that's something to desire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely agree that you can desire things that are both painful and pleasurable,
Mm-hmm.
and that you can find pleasure in pain.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree.
Yeah, I also think that desire is more of an active process than a lot of people tend to think of. Like some people almost see that their desire is passive and something that
Hmm.
lingers beneath their psychology and simply happens.
Mm,
Whereas
hmm.
I strongly feel and have experienced that desire is very much active. It's a process that needs to be fed, and that it's an aspect of ourselves that comes more alive the more we actively feed it.
Hmm.
Mm. Is that something that you've experienced as well?
For me personally, I think that it just depends on what's
Hmm.
going on in life because I agree that it's something that is to be fed, but at times sometimes it just happens. As you
Hmm.
said, some people are different and life can affect the way we experience things. So life can affect how we desire things. Sometimes our desire may just be like just like that. It
Hmm.
happens, right? And then other times it's something we have to build onto. But for me, I would say that at times it is more spontaneous or something that I have to like practice to acquire more of, but it just depends on where I am, where my
Mm-hmm.
mind is. My mind may be focused on something else more than another. Um, but I think I'm both of those things. For
Mm-hmm.
me, yeah, I would be both of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that to an extent everyone is. Maybe someone is more, it just happens. And then some people are more, I have to dwell on it a little bit more and I have to feed it in order for it to grow more. But
Mm-hmm.
I think we all have some part of all of that when it comes to desire.
Yep. Very true. Now, I'd love to move on to chatting about finding the beauty in darkness now, as this seems to be a strong theme for you. You've
Hmm.
mentioned that you find beauty in the macabre. Can you tell me what that means for you erotically?
Yes. So again, I'm a goth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very fundamental to find the beauty in the dark things when it comes to being goth and enjoying goth music and enjoying gothic anything. And while I don't have to merge that with my kinky side, it just is who I am. So I do find things that may be a little bit more twisted or maybe be unconventional that, some people may find odd, beautiful. And to put it simply, kink, right? Not everyone's kinky.
Mm-hmm.
So kink in itself can be something deemed alternative, as I mentioned earlier, right? So to an extent, you can say, okay, like that's goth, right? Kink is goth, right? You can say that,
Mm-hmm.
but um, I think how I act out the darkness within and apply it to like my kinky self. Um, I think in how I address myself, how I engage with other people, how I dressed, the type of kinks I enjoy. Um, I think some of it may be deemed as a little bit darkish, possibly,
Mm-hmm.
right? A little sinister. I love sin. I love talking about death. Sometimes it could get a little spicy, a little bit heated, but I just think that that's something that naturally just happens because I'm a gothic individual, because I
Mm-hmm.
like dark things, because, as I said, some of
Mm-hmm.
my interests are unconventional.
Yep. So let's
But yeah,
let's explore a little bit more. You said earlier blasphemy and sacrilege are favorites of yours as well.
yes.
Do you have a religious background? Is that where that comes from, or is it more
Oh yeah.
because okay, so that's also
Yeah,
feeding into this as well?
definitely, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up religious. I grew up Christian. My family is still very Christian. I am the only one within my immediate household who is not. Within my family back home in South Africa and Liberia, even in the States, very Christian family. So I'm one of the very few who are not, especially
Mm-hmm.
within my community in general, right? So I grew up that way, and I don't remember how long ago, but it was like a couple years back. I decided to just let that go. Um, Even as a child, growing up with it, I always had a feeling like this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel like me. Um, Especially being a queer individual. I know some queer people are happily religious, happily Christian or whatever, and it works for them. Perfect, amazing. Personally, not for me. I don't see it making sense. It didn't make sense. So there's a lot of like turmoil, inner turmoil, growing up, and I decided to just let that go altogether.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess a part of me didn't let it go because some of my favorite things to do, as you said,
Mm.
involve blasphemy. I
Mm.
love wearing crosses. I love talking about sin. I love talking about godliness and whatever and whatnot and religifying it. Just making everything seem very Christian but not, right? So
Mm-hmm.
in a way I've reclaimed
Mm.
that part of myself, but not in the way that I have like given my life to Jesus or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what this is. All I know is that it can get very deep if I just kind of shut my mind off and go into that space. But to put it simply, I just like everything about. the religion on a textbook level,
Hmm.
but make it kinky.
Okay, sounds like a lot of fun.
I don't
Thanks
even
for
know if that
sharing.
makes sense to
It
some
does.
people. To some people, they'll get that, but to
Hmm.
others, they may not get it, and some people may be really offended by it. But I feel like once you have religious trauma too, you can kind of do whatever you want with it, and you're free to do so. Some people may disagree, but I think like that's just how I process my life right now.
Yeah, well, it's your trauma. You get to process it however works best for you, right? And people may judge or not judge, but regardless, you're going to do what you want to do with it anyway, and that's where your empowerment comes from, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to move on to a study that I thought would be interesting to ask you about, especially as you identify as queer and pansexual. It's
Hmm.
titled A Thematic Analysis of a Sample of Partnered Lesbian, Gay, and Bisexual People's Concepts of Sexual Satisfaction. And it
Mm.
explores the definitions of sexual satisfaction among these individuals. So, in this study, they interviewed 60 people and found that the people involved viewed satisfaction not just as about orgasm or frequency of sex, but rather
Hmm.
they highlighted deeper, more nuanced aspects. And they found five main key themes that emerged. The first was relational dimensions, things like emotional closeness,
Mm.
communication, mutual respect. The second, individual sexual well being, including arousal, pleasure, and orgasm was mentioned, but also confidence and feeling desired. The third, authenticity, feeling free to express your erotic self without judgment. The fourth theme was diversity of sexual practices, the freedom to explore and not feel boxed in. And the last theme was absence of dysfunction, both emotional and physical.
Mm.
So, as someone who brings a lot of nuance to your own erotic identity, especially with your interest in power, sensuality, and transformation, I'd love to hear your take on these. I have a few questions here for you.
Hmm.
The study found that emotional intimacy and communication was central to sexual satisfaction for queer folks. So, what role does emotional connection play in your kink or sexual encounters, especially in your dominant role?
I think it plays a heavy role.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I have found that I don't really enjoy any type of dynamic, whether it be a one-off-ish thing, or like or more played out partnership or something that involves like a scene or a session. I prefer having some type of connection with that person. If I don't have like the time to get involved with them too much, maybe meeting for like a meal, just talking or texting a little bit more, getting right into things, I can't do it. I
Mm-hmm.
really can't do it. It's not rewarding. It's not satisfying for me. Um, I have had those experiences in the past and they have never been great.
Mm-hmm.
Um, no matter what type of dynamic or relationship, I want there to be some type of connection, an emotional one, preferably.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel like that's more common for
Yeah.
queer people?
For queer people, I would say personally, I don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I think about it, as queer people, we're kind of forced to live a little bit differently. And I think it gives us a lot of time to like create our own rules for how we want to engage with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And as human beings, I think naturally we want connections. So once we're not being told like how you have to do something and who you have to do it with, and you're kind of like going against the norm, doing your own shit and whatever, I think queer people have a lot more freedom to desire those things and actually implement them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if the study's saying that queer people typically have that type of experience, that type of desire when it comes to relationships, it would make sense. But
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
nor do I think that like queer people desire more emotional connections than non-queer people. I think everyone does, but I would say like queer relationships, queer interactions typically would have that a lot more because we're not going by like the status quo and doing
Mm.
what everyone else is doing a lot of the time.
Hmm. Now, negotiation and redefining roles were also key themes in the research. As someone still shaping your kink identity and exploring, how do you approach defining your roles and boundaries with someone?
Mm. Um, I like to first know what someone thinks about how I identify on a surface level. Like
Mm.
if I tell someone I'm a dom or whatever, I kind of like to know what that means to them. Depending on how the conversation's going, depending on how I meet them, maybe I might give it out right away. But a lot of the time I like to see. But helping people understand that I am not the stereotype, because there are stereotypes within the community. Some people do fit them and some people don't. Um, Personally, I don't feel like I do.
Hmm.
Maybe I fit it on a surface level. Like when you see me, you might think that that's the case. But when you get to talk to me, get to know me, you realize that I'm not really that.
Mm.
But also helping people understand that there are different ways, as I said, to be a dom, right?
Yep.
And that I don't fit some of the more standard stereotypes where I personally believe that the main image of a dom is someone who's very demeaning at times and
Mm.
pretty aggressive, very assertive, and I guess just like mean, but
Hmm.
people like that. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that.
Hmm.
Like, I'm above you, you're below me, you're nothing to me. To an extent, I abide by that, but not always. And I'm not saying I look down on people who do abide that way. Like I have friends or a really close friend who's pretty similar in that fashion with her doming, and I think that's great. It works for her, but it doesn't work for me,
Hmm.
right? So first hearing how people think a dom is like is always important to understand like, okay, what are they looking for? So I'm not wasting my time firstly,
Hmm.
but also just to like hear and then I get to explain myself or asking them what they think I am based off of what they know about me if they do know about me, right?
Yep.
But
Yep. That's a great
something I
place
know
to
about that.
start. Hmm.
Hmm. A little bit of everything. I don't do everything the same way all the time, but that's kind of something I find interesting to do every once in a while.
Hmm.
But I do typically express my desires, my limits, but I do like hearing what people desire and what their limits are and hearing how they like to interact with people who may identify as myself.
Hmm.
But yeah, I've never really enjoyed the people who go outright with the titles, the honorifics right away. It's like you don't even know. You just
Mm.
throwing that out there right now because you see me and I look this way, you think I want to be called that or addressed in this manner or like you address yourself in that manner towards me. Like,
Yep.
I don't like all that. But typically if someone comes with respect, I also come at them with respect as well. But
Hmm.
yeah, I feel like I don't know. Am I answering these questions correctly?
Yeah, no,
My mind
yeah.
is all over the
Yeah, no,
place.
it's really
I
interesting. It's interesting to hear your process and how you're approaching these things. It's great. Yeah. The study also emphasized that satisfaction isn't static, it evolves with you. How has your idea
Mhm.
of sexual satisfaction changed over the last couple of years as you've grown into yourself
Oh.
as a Dom and a seeker of the
Mhm.
macabre?
Oh yeah. Um, there was a time when I was more focused on performance and
Mm.
making sure someone else was getting something out of an experience more than myself. Um, so a lot of my earlier sexual interactions, because I didn't start off doing things kinky, maybe one of my first experiences were, and even then I wasn't extremely comfortable with my body. Um, So I was more focused on the other person's pleasure more than my own. Maybe I did
Mm.
implement some of the things that interest me kink-wise, but at that time, I wasn't very explorative with involving myself more intimately in that situation with that person. Um, and then like the later interactions I've had, a lot of them were just, I realized that a lot of them were, I'm walking away from this experience and that person is satisfied, that person is satisfied, that person is satisfied. I know I did my part, but I'm not satisfied, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's very exhausting, very tiring. And even today, I feel that at times, but I found a way to have some type of reward, whether or not it may be like sexual satisfaction. Um, Taking something away is something I have to have. I can't have an experience and then not get something out of it.
Okay, so let's move on to chatting about your kink exploration and evolution now. I'm so curious to hear about this. What was one of the first kink experiences that made you realize, oh, this is me, I'm kinky?
Mm. I don't think it was actually a physical or in-person experience.
Mm-hmm.
It was more so in the type of entertainment I was consuming that made me realize I enjoy things that were more unconventional.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, as someone who grew up on anime and manga,
Yep.
I was reading certain comics that had certain themes that were not very vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with it being from Japan, Japan's pretty freaky in ways that can be quite negative, but not all that bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was kind of my introduction to more kink related things and my consumption of those things, my enjoyment of those things and things alike helped me realize that I enjoyed that type of stuff. My first time being able to actually experiment with it in person was more light. It's kind of hard to do everything that you thought about when you're doing it for the first time, right? But being a queer person in general just it already kind of defies the norm.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my first experiences were with like an ex-girlfriend I had in high school, and I was able to perform certain things that I've always wanted to. And since then, I've had experiences that have been close, but not as intimately kinky as that. And I hope to do that in some time near. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, what I would have done, I don't really want to get into full detail because I mean, I was a child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough. Whatever you're
Just like
comfortable
some
with.
simple general, oh, your first time in Kink? Is this your first time? You know, like Kink 101 basics. That was pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
But the type of entertainment I was consuming were very towing the line of fetish at times and whatnot, but
Mm-hmm.
it was all fiction. So
Mm-hmm.
I knew I enjoyed those things and I kind of just want to try them more as I grow more in my kink journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I have. One of the bigger things being like pup play. I've always enjoyed pup comics growing up.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, I was introduced to explicit and non-child friendly things at a young age, so that
Mm-hmm.
has followed me. Unfortunately at the time, but I mean I'm an adult now, so it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But so pup related things was something I always enjoyed, and now I get to do that right now. I already have a pup of my own and would
Mm-hmm.
love more, but yeah, so just knowing about them and getting to perform them later on in my life.
Yep.
That's kind of how it started off and
Mm-hmm.
how it's going now, at
Yeah,
least.
manga seems to be quite a common one, right? A lot of people seem to discover themselves through
Mhm.
comics. Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure. I bet. Because you can visually see it. You can
Mm.
see it, you can read it. It's
Mm-hmm.
all there for you. All the senses are pretty much being hit. Then there's anime, and then you can hear it.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've also described yourself as a toy collector. What's your favorite
Mhm.
toy right now and why?
Oh, my favorite toy. I
Mm.
love toys. Oof, my collection is ever growing and honestly, I love her. I love her a lot. My favorite toy right now. It really depends on my mood, but
Mm.
I would have to say vibes. I love vibes. I don't even know how many vibes, but right now my favorite vibe is I don't even remember where I got it, but it's a particular brand. I can find it right now if I looked for it, but it's one of those handheld wands.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a Hitachi. I don't got one of those monsters. Oh my. But no, it's a handheld wand. It's like a medium-sized wand, and I just think it's really convenient, easy to hold. I still want to find another vibe that's more convenient for me. I'm a very lazy person when it comes to using toys on myself, but vibrators, hands down. And right now, I mean, it's one out of three that are my favorite vibes right now, if I'm being honest. One out of three.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Now, you've
Yeah.
also mentioned that you'll try anything once or twice. Can you tell us about a time where you tried something and you were surprised by how much you liked it?
Ooh, how much I liked it. Hmm.
Mm.
Hmm.
Was there perhaps something you thought you'd never be interested in that you've since explored and you're like, oh, actually, I am? Or did you already have a good grasp of yourself before you tried things?
I would say I've had a good grasp of things
Mm-hmm.
that I would enjoy before tried them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think there's anything I've ever kind of been iffy about and tried and said, "Oh hell yeah, this is 100% for me." It was more so just like, "Yeah, I didn't think I would like it as much," but I'm trying to think. And I don't want to take forever to think, so right away I can't think of anything.
That's
But then
fine.
again, it could just be my poor memory in my exhausted mind.
Yeah, no worries at all. As part of our
Mhm.
conversation today, I also asked you to bring along something to share, such as a quote, book, or a movie that's influenced your sexuality. You've already mentioned manga and a couple of comics. Can you share with us something else, perhaps, that has influenced your understanding of your erotic realm?
I don't have a particular book
Mm-hmm.
or quote or anything, but I've mentioned one of them already. They're two YouTubers that I like to watch.
Mm.
They do offer some type of like sexual education or just they're kink enjoyers and, they're involved in the community and they talk about their experiences or they're educating in some way or another. And one of them being Kat Black. She's a black trans woman who is also goth on YouTube and she also like a podcast. She's an artist and involved in kink and yada yada yada. So her content has really helped me understand myself as a black goth, a
Mm.
black queer goth, a black kinky queer goth.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing myself in her in some ways or another and like learning new things through her, how to engage with the community and whatnot. And another person being Evie Lupine, um, on YouTube as well.
Mm-hmm.
She has been someone I turn to just to learn more about certain kinks. Um, yeah, she's been on YouTube for a very long time. I don't remember when I first started watching her, but yeah, definitely one of my favorite sex educators, kink educators. Yeah, she does a lot of content like that. And then Kat is more like an entertainer and artist, and then also talks about kink whenever,
Mm-hmm.
it's relevant or she desires to do so. But those are two people who have definitely helped me along my kink journey. Um, Not only just like for education, but also for entertainment, but definitely helped me find more of myself and understand the kinks that I was like curious about too. So
Mm. Now it's my
I think,
Yep.
oh, sorry.
No, go.
I Sex educators are just people who I try to learn from a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
even like on FetLife, I do try to follow accounts that have some form of education. I know like Fet in itself does have some educational things on there. Any other like kinky or fetish apps or sites that I'm on, I like there to be an educational aspect from it because that's where I get to learn a lot more about like people's experiences and then just how it was and how it is and how it will be. So that's kind of how I try to grow myself in the scene.
I love it. And they're great resources. So thank you for sharing. I'm sure people will
100%.
check them
Mhm.
out. Now, it's my understanding that you're currently mentoring and seeking mentorship. What's been the most powerful thing that you've learned in that mentor exchange that you have at the moment so far?
Mhm. So my current friend who I do have labeled as my mentee? I don't know what the word is.
Mm-hmm.
Mentee?
Yep, I guess so.
Um, yeah. I I kind of am just like a resource for her. And as someone who enjoys educating themselves and continuously learning, I like to do the same for others. Not for everyone. I have to enjoy you in order to do that for you. So having friends that I can introduce to things and just like check up on them and like be a resource, be somewhat of a protector and be some type of a guide. That's something that I enjoy and that's what I do whenever she needs it. And whenever someone else that I may be friends with am introducing to the scene or the community or whatever, like that's just something I like to do when it comes to like my mentorship,
Mm-hmm.
right? As for people who are mentoring me, I don't really have like one mentor. I go to people who I call friends, who I call like acquaintances, who are more experienced than me, and who are familiar with like how I go by my journey and the current things that I do. Like for example, I do sessions, dom sessions, pro dom sessions. So I offer different type of services, and I have a friend who's experienced with one of the services that I prefer to do the most, like ball busting and CBT, which is cock and ball torture, right? So, for example, I go to him and he's helped me a lot in growing that. And I've met like another person who kind of just helped me figure out how to navigate being a pro dom and whatnot, right? So I don't have any particular person, but once I recognize someone who is experienced and willing to share that knowledge with me on like a friendly level, that's just someone I gravitate towards
Mm.
and they gravitate towards me. So that's pretty much what mentorship has been like for me so far.
Mm-hmm. Sounds amazing. Now, if I was to ask you to share with us a peak experience of yours from your kink journey so far, what is it that comes to mind, Mo?
A big experience.
A peak experience, yeah.
Oh, peak experience.
Yeah, something that,
Oh,
really
okay.
ticked your boxes,
Oh,
really, yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was my first time attending a lifestyle club.
Mm.
It was Choice, and I'm assuming people are familiar with it, but it's in Providence, in Rhode Island, and that was like my first time attending a lifestyle club, and it was with an old partner of mine. Everything about the experience was just wonderful. Obviously, that has to do with um the physical location, who you're going with, the people who are there, and like everything else, right? And I was invited by a friend of mine, um, who's involved with the club itself. So having the opportunity to go there and just like experience what a lifestyle club was like, and having it be a great experience for my first time, I would say that's peak. That was peak.
Mm-hmm.
While I was there, it was more so just catching a vibe, seeing what was going on and whatever. Later on in the day, I did do more, but just being in the space in itself, being around like-minded people and just
Mm.
being comfortable to just be who you were, was very exciting. Very
Mm.
exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, I've been wanting to go back, but I just am not in the position to get a membership right now, especially if I'm going to be leaving the country soon.
Mm.
But I think that was definitely peak, and for so many reasons I can explain, but I don't have to go into all the details
Of
unless if
course
you want
not.
me to.
Oh,
But
you can
I
mention if
would
you
say,
like, maybe one of the things that you enjoyed the most. I'm sure people would love to hear if you're comfortable with it.
oh yeah, of course. I guess I can just list, but not like go into detail about it. But
Sure.
as I said, like the people, respectable. Everyone well around was decent. Um,
Mm.
the atmosphere, right? It was just really nice. Music was great. place was clean. I've heard so many stories about places just not being top notch in when it comes to like hygiene.
Mm,
Everything about it was just very nice. And I just think that if you are curious about lifestyle clubs and you have an opportunity to go to one, 100% choice if you can. I think that it was great. I've been to a couple of other ones, but like choice, I think it was amazing. But then again, a lot of people also pay attention to like age demographics. Yes, the kink community has predominantly 30 and above. It's not really a 20 teen thing. So younger people kind of do shy away from like lifestyle clubs because a lot of the time you're gonna find older demographics in those spaces.
mm,
But if that's not something that you're uncomfortable with, then you'll be fine. But I think that's very classy. Choice is very classy and everything about it was just really nice. I loved
mm-hmm,
it a lot.
It sounds amazing.
It was really fun. Yeah, it was.
hmm
Yeah.
I noticed that you have a kink to-do list of 25 on your FetLife. I love this
Yes, I
idea. Yeah, I was wondering, how is that going? Is this the first year that you've created such a list?
yes, because as I mentioned a couple of times, I will be going to Japan very soon to finish my degree. Um and I just want to get a good amount of stuff that I've been wanting to get done because I don't know what's going to happen in Japan. I don't
Mm-hmm,
know how much I'll be able to explore when I get there regarding kink.
mm-hmm,
So right now I'm just trying to get done what I want to get done.
mm-hmm,
How it's been going, if you can see anything on there, I don't have a lot of things ticked off. I have not really been paying too much attention to it because, like, school, I'm trying to finish, I'm trying to get my degrees. So I've been very
mm,
focused on my academics right now, but I've gotten some things done. I'm planning on doing more during the summer, but holding myself accountable. That's
mm-hmm,
my main reason for making that. I wanted to look at it every once in a while and say, what have I not done and what do I need to put on my calendar to get done?
mm-hmm.
Because it's a to-do list and I'm going to do it.
I was wondering if you would be open to reading us the list. I'm sure people would be very
Oh,
curious to hear what's on there.
yes, of course. Let me just get to it right now because
I can
I
send you
do
the
not remember
link.
offhand. Oh, no, no, no. I have my phone.
Okay.
I am Jen to-do list. So, yeah, I mentioned that there's no particular order to it. It's just things that I want to get done.
Mm-hmm,
So, my first thing on my list that I've already crossed out was to collar a pup. And I currently have a sub who's amazing, who I have collared. And as I said, I would love more subs. I would love more pups, but that's something I take very seriously, and I can't really do a whole lot. So I said like one or two,
mm-hmm,
maybe three. But right now I have one, so I crossed that out. Like that's something I got done. And the next thing was having more like kink and dom sessions. So I've actually had a good amount since I've made this, so I don't know why I haven't crossed that out just yet.
mm,
Though most of them have been online, and I just want more in person in order for me to cross that out. So I think I'm waiting. I
mm-hmm,
said 6+, so we shall see. Um, MFM threesome
mm-hmm,
would be nice to have that one day. Yoni massage, go to a major kink or BDSM event. That's something I really, really want to do. And I think I have attempted at one point, just never got to do it yet.
mm-hmm,
Um, but that involves a lot of planning. So if I'm doing that, I really need to be serious about it. Tantric massage, I love massages, so most of this list is gonna have things like that. But massage, suspension, predicament, bondage. Um, I've had asked a friend already about doing that. Someone else approached me about doing it at one point, so hope I get that checked out soon.
mm-hmm,
Um, strap and trip a queen.
mm,
I am queer, but I engage with a lot of men, and it can be exhausting. I
mm-hmm,
want more women in my life, so that's definitely on my to-do list. Not because women are to-dos, but like it's something kinky, something a little bit not. it's not really kinky. Like lesbians and sapphics all the time are doing this shit. For me, it's kinky because I engage with a lot of men.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit unconventional for me. That's
Yep.
why it's kind of like my on my to-do list, right? An erotic photo shoot.
Mm.
Get more fetish gear, more outfits and whatnot. I've gotten some, I want more, so that's why it's not crossed out just yet. Um, experience at least 5 new toys/equipment. So far, I've experienced maybe three, so I'm getting close to crossing that out.
Cool.
Get more voice acting, art commissions. I am an artist, so I draw on my FET account. You can see some of my art. Um, I do voice acting as well. Right now, doesn't really give voice actor, but as I said, I'm pretty tired. And chastity key, I want to add a key to my collection. I crossed that out. And I'm not sure why I crossed that out because I don't physically have a key with me, but I think I crossed it out for a reason. I don't know. Oh, I remember why. I was gonna get a key, but that dynamic did not go well.
Oh.
So I might uncross that, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Three more. Build my reverse harem. If anyone knows what a harem is, basically one guy and a bunch of girls. But I said reverse harem because I'm a girl and I want a bunch of guys or just people in general.
Mm-hmm.
And have more consistent play partners. I like having a community of people who enjoy the things that I enjoy and are kinky and sexually driven at times, and that's something I want to have.
Mm-hmm.
Add more unique toys and tools to my collection. I recently purchased a couple of things, so I crossed that one out. And yeah, and I said more to be added if so,
Mm-hmm.
but that's my list.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things are not crossed out, which means summer's gonna be very busy for me.
What are you
But
hoping to cross off
yeah.
next? What's your number one to cross off, would you say?
Oh, the event. I
Yeah.
really want to go to a major kink event. That would be extremely exciting, but maybe that will have to wait for Japan because I've heard a couple of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's my major one.
Now, if my listeners want to learn more about you and your work, Mo, and check out your list, where can they find you?
I am on a lot of platforms, but the main platform where I share most of my kinky self is on FetLife. My user is darkest_mercy. Let
Mm-hmm.
me just be 100% sure that's the case. Yes, it is darkest_mercy. Um, I'm also on Fetish, that app with the green heart and the red heart with the like scratch through it or whatever. You can find me anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Reddit. That's kind of a rare find. If you find me on there, just let me know. Don't go
Mm-hmm.
telling everybody about it. But FetLife for sure.
Mm-hmm. And
Twitter too.
yep.
Yeah.
And finally, if I asked you to describe your erotic self in one word today, what would that word be and why?
I'd have to say evolving,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. And my reason for saying that, or just I guess some background, when I first made my account on FetLife, I was debating what label do I want to put on there because there's so many labels,
Mm.
and sometimes you don't really want to box yourself in, but it's good to have labels once in a while. So I just felt like evolving made the most sense. I'm still trying to figure out exactly where I stand,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, I don't think I'll ever be one thing, but evolving would always be who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So my erotic self, my sensual self is always evolving.
Beautiful. I'd like to thank you for being so open and sharing yourself with me and our listeners today, Mo.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you again. I'm Em, and this has been the Erotic Realm podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please follow and rate the show as it helps us reach more people like you. The Erotic Realm is also expanding rapidly right now. We're now listened to in 117 countries. If you or someone you know would like to sponsor this growing project, especially if you're based in the US, I'd love to hear from you. Sponsorship inquiries can be directed through my Substack, linked below, or by contacting me directly through my website, psychologyofdesire.com. Thank you for supporting independent erotic psychology. Also, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, I'm always looking for new people to chat to. Head to psychologyofdesire.com to apply. Thanks for listening, and as always, stay perverted.